This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
This is the Mike Kelly podcast.
Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
So kids, are you ready? Let's follow the money. Let's get this show on the road. Keys in, ignition on, and we're off with another Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast, as we churn out the big news stories and the gossip that you'll not hear elsewhere. It's your one-stop, non-stop, fully loaded Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
On this week's podcast.
So stand by as we let rip with the stories about Alexa, King Charles, trains, cars, Alice Cooper, cheeky girls, Professor Frank McDonough, fake Showbusiness news, Joyce the assistant, charities, competitions, and a whole lot more.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Morning, Mr. Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Morning, Joyce. If you don't mind me saying, you look a bit rough.
Sorry, I fell to sleep after a night out with the girls. I did not have time to get showered and changed.
It must have been some night out. Where did you go?
It's a long story. I bumped into my mate Mavis, who invited me to go on her mate's hen party night.
Oh, yes? And where did you end up?
We went to the Bongos Bonkers bingo night at the O2 with all her mates from Ann Summers, where she works. They were all dressed up as sexy Santas, hospital nurses and air hostesses. It was a mad night. I have no idea how I got home.
Bongos Bonkers bingo? It all sounds a bit mad.
It cost a fortune. The bingo, then the drinks. We started with dirty margarita cocktails, then Freddy food puckers, and then on 2 kamikaze shots and bazooka joes.
No wonder you look so rough. I'm amazed you can still do this sort of thing at your age.
Worse still, I have agreed to go on the full hen night holiday next month on a Club 1830 holiday in Ibiza.
You won't get in. They'll check your passport when you book in at reception.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And on TV, is it true in Coronation Street there used to be a character called Willie Eckerslike? On The Chase, Bradley had a contestant called Alexa, which probably livened up many homes across the land as digital devices answered the questions being asked. Is it time somebody commissioned a new series of Columbo? You know that TV ad for Sauvage from Dior? The one with a guy on a guitar in a desert with wolves? I'm bored of it. Never mind saying Dior. I think it's dire. BBC to ban Kink's 1960s Autumn Almanac hit as it promotes meat eating with its line Roast Beef Sunday Dinners. Band spokesman says, we've had problems with the beat before. They wouldn't let us sing Coca-Cola in our song Lola.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Lots of story in the press about celebrities and awkward celebrity snubs. Doesn't everybody get snubbed from time to time? Lucky old King Charles recently celebrated his 75th birthday. For some people, every day is a birthday. I see the King's estate to transfer £100 million into ethical funds after Bona Vaxantia revelations, or to be put another way, being found out. The money came from profiting from dead citizens' assets, the assets of thousands of people in the northwest of England who'd not left a will or had relatives. And if that's not enough, he also owns the seabed 12 miles out to sea, so makes a fortune by leasing to wind farms.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Don't forget, podpickers, if you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use the following to contact us. And if you have any stories, gossip, jokes, or anything for the next episode, go to @MikeKellyDisco on social media sites. And talking of them there social media sites, on the social media, Lord Victor Meldrew of the East Ridings, quite appropriate today as The Guardian exposed that Charlie had been using the archaic system of bona vaxentia to transfer estates that are intestate into his ethical funds and used to update his rental properties when the public had been told it was being passed to charities. Prem Seeker, average UK household energy bill to rise to $1,928 from January. It was $1,042 in January 2021. Has your income doubled? Energy company profits have more than trebled. Ofgem supports companies, provides no estimate of fuel poverty. Government cuts real wages, no curb on profiteering. Professor Mark Maslin, Joe Brand, comedian extraordinaire, translates my climate science for real people. As she says, if people like me to get involved, you know we are in deep trouble. Father Paul, I know that I came and sat at my computer to do something important, but what was it?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Oh yes, I have learnt something new. Discovered a polyglot is a smart ass who can speak several languages. Top polyglotter is reportedly Zayed Fazar, a Liberian-born Lebanese language teacher now living in Brazil who claims to speak more than 50 languages.
I'm starting to come around. I have had several double espressos. I have one for you. What is the Stockholm Syndrome?
People who are addicted to ABBA music or cannot stand ABBA?
Don't be daft. It describes the psychological condition of a hostage victim who identifies with and empathizes with their captor or abuser and their goals. Stockholm Syndrome is rare. According to one FBI study, the condition occurs in about 8% of hostage victims.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Today's slightly more tricky music competition. Guess the song or the artist that these words are from. I was frightened. I was scared. I was thrown into confusion as they stood right there in front of me. It wasn't an illusion. Name the song or the artist, or even better, both.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
If you're new to the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast, you can still get to hear all the previous episodes just by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast show. And so, on to this week's transport news. LNER, London North Eastern Railways, has its trains acting as planes as it introduces new baggage restrictions of one piece of hand luggage and 2 bags. Do tyres on electric cars cost more than normal tyres? Apparently so. The best EV tyres meet all challenges but at a price. For example, a Michelin E-Primacy tyre for a Volkswagen ID3 costs £165 from Halfords compared with £91 for a regular Primacy 4 tyre fitted to a Volkswagen Golf 1.5, a difference of £74. Differences in prices such as this are deterring many EV owners from buying the correct tyres for their vehicles.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Let's look back at a few late November things which were going on with Professor Frank McDonough at FXMC 1957. November 1975, Bill Gates adopted the name Microsoft for the company he and Paul Allen formed to write computer programs. November 1965, Mary Whitehouse began her Clean Up TV campaign by founding the National Viewers and Listeners Association. Whitehouse became a staunch campaigner against sex and violence being shown on TV or broadcast on radio. November 1968, children's author Enid Blyton died aged 71. Her books included Noddy and The Famous Five, have been translated into 90 languages and have sold over 600 million copies. November 1929, Berry Gordy was born in Detroit, Michigan. He was founder of the Motown record label known as Tamla Motown. He He received the Songwriters Hall of Fame's Pioneer Award on the 13th of June 2013, and he was the first living individual to receive that honour.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And today's charity do-gooders can be found at mungos.org. St Mungo's brings something slightly different to the table. We're all united in our values and our aim of ending homelessness. Everything we do starts with our clients. We're here to help people who've experienced homelessness, regardless of their age, gender, sexuality, or ethnicity. We only want to help our clients move on from the problems that caused their homelessness. We also want them to work with us to improve and develop our services, so we include our clients wherever possible in our work. Find out all you need to know at mungos.org.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Rishi Sunak introducing benefit changes which mean people with mobility and mental health problems will be asked to work from home or lose their benefit payments. Government Minister Robert Jennick has blocked a charity from supporting asylum seekers by giving legal aid, haircuts and clothes while staying in Home Office accommodation. Beatles make music history with Now and Then topping the charts and the longest gap between hits. I'm going to be honest, I don't like it, but I do like all other Beatles songs. Rough sleeping, a lifestyle choice. A big shout for northern-based Booth supermarkets who are removing self-style checkouts. Elon Musk says we won't need to work in the future if we don't want to. Can't see that working, like somebody owns a big machine that makes things on its own and they're going to share the money it makes with the rest of us. If that's the business model, they could start doing it now.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Fake show business news at Fake Showbiz News. Derby County's Pride Park Stadium to be renamed the WeTransfer Arena after club signs $2.3 billion sponsorship deal with the file-sharing Trailblazers. Kate Bush reveals she was so bored today she spent more than 2 hours trying to get her cat to meow into a megaphone. Gwen Stefani admits the rising popularity of novelty tea has taken her by surprise. This shit is bananas, she chuckled. Naomi Campbell says she dreamed last night she chose They Might Be Giants as her specialist subject on Mastermind and got every question wrong except who sang Birdhouse in Your Soul. Robbie Williams celebrates after hearing Pope Francis has started using cannabis oil to ease his shoulder pain. I've made it, he chuckled. Emily Blunt says she suspects most vegans secretly eat meat when nobody's looking. Madonna cancels tonight's show at the O2 Arena due to Caramac being discontinued by Nestle. I'm too upset to sing, she told reporters. Andy Peters apologises to neighbours in Richmond for having a meltdown while trick-or-treating. In hindsight, I appreciate people don't deserve to be yelled at for failing to have sweeties in or only having ones I don't like, he said.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Guess the celebrity. His real name was Morris James Christopher Cole, and he was born on the 25th of December 1944 and is sadly no longer with us. He was a British comedian and a radio disc jockey known for his irreverent, offbeat comedic style and easygoing personality. After spells on pirate radio and Radio Luxembourg in the mid-1960s, he was one of the first DJs to join BBC Radio 1. He was dismissed from the BBC in 1970 after making remarks about a government minister's wife. He returned to commercial radio when it became licensed in the UK and joined Capital Radio. He was a highly versatile performer, able to write his own scripts, compose jingles and operate advanced recording and mixing equipment. His personality also made him a regular guest on chat shows and programmes like Blankety Blank. Who is he?
I know the answer to that.
Don't say the answer, that would ruin the fun.
So Mr. Podcast Short Mike DJ Kelly, what do you know about fun?
I know loads why.
I have got a mate with a baby who, when she takes him to the park in his pram, often sits on a bench somewhere busy and then rummages in the pram and brings out a nappy and eats her snack from it. To anybody watching, it looks like she's eating.
Joyce, stop there. That's disgusting. My idea for something funny and to teach those people who put temporary traffic lights everywhere is this. As they are no longer connected by wires but by Bluetooth and are on mobile units with wheels, for a wheeze, why not change positions of a few of them in the middle of the night? Maybe match up pairs so you have reds and greens showing in the same direction. New from MJL and available in high street stores near you. It's the new MJL Wig Maker. If you're worried by hair loss or being thin and patchy on top, or so embarrassed that you're doing a comb over, you need the new MJL Wig Maker. You can make wigs in all the great styles: mullet, Eton crop, afro, pigtails, beehive. The list is endless. The MJL Wig Maker is preloaded with all these design templates. To make your wig, each pattern tells you how much in weight of animal hair you require to make each wig. Cat or dog hair is suitable and can be dyed to a colour of your choice. The MJL Wig Maker takes minutes to make a wig when loaded with pet hair, which you can collect when combing your pet or emptying the vacuum. The MJL Wig Maker is just $19.99 from most high street stores, or if you order from us here, we'll include a free universal vacuum cleaner pet hair sucker attachment.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
More from the social media sites, Dr. Julia Grace Patterson. If anyone tells you that socialism doesn't work, please remind them that the NHS is a socialist institution and was the best healthcare system in the world until capitalism was allowed to infiltrate and destroy the way it functions. Terry Christian, now that 68% of UK voters are in favour of rejoining the EU, which tangible benefits of Brexit will you Leave voters miss the most when we rejoin? Fergal Sharkey, words getting out. People in Australia discussing privatising their water industry are warned off by, good God, no, just look what's happened in England. Water companies have made us the global laughingstock. Sheena, I need a back massage, but I can't deal with the awkwardness of being half naked and having to make small talk.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Do you all think big name bands should have to do a secret gig in a small pub once a year? New report from the Gambling Commission suggests as many as 1.3 million adults suffer from the problems of gambling. French economist Thomas Piketty, class inequality must be at the centre of climate response. Ban private jets to address climate crisis. Which is best, gas or electric? Well, we've had several power cuts in the last few months, and I would say gas is best, as I can never remember having the gas go off.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
In the late news, next year's Reading and Leeds music festivals announced headline acts will be Cheeky Girls, Tony Basil and Musical Youth. Alice Cooper is no longer on Planet Rock as the new company owning the station, United Stations Radio Network, dispensed of his services. Court rules that you can call the Tory scum. PricewaterhouseCoopers Cyprus branch moved £1 billion for Russian tycoon when under sanctions. Gordon Ramsay becomes a father for the 6th time at 57. That's nothing, says 83-year-old Godfather and Scarface actor Al Pacino and his 29-year-old wife Noor, who recently had a son called Roman. Did you know that the Victoria and Albert Museum has online archive of vintage knitting patterns that you can download for free? Go to the website and search knitting patterns. Is it time to bring back the Cones hotline?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated and sometimes much listened to podcast, please contact at Mike Kelly Disco on social media sites. Indeed, if you want a podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer or presentation work, travel news, voiceover work, please do get in touch. Please tell your friends about the podcast and do leave a review where you download. All they need to do to find us is to search on Google for the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Okay, it's time to go. Name the song of the artist that these lines were from. I was frightened. I was scared. I was thrown into confusion as they stood right there in front of me. It wasn't an illusion. Name the song, the artist, or both. Errol Brown, Hot Chocolate, and the song No Doubt About It. Guess the celebrity. His real name was Morris James Christopher Cole, and he was born on the 25th of December 1944 and is sadly no longer with us. He was a British comedian and a radio disc jockey known for his irreverent, offbeat comedic style and easygoing personality. He had spells on Pirate Radio, Radio Luxembourg and Radio 1. He turned to commercial radio when it became licensed in the UK and joined Capital Radio. He was a highly versatile performer and he was often a guest on chat shows like Blankety Blank. Who is he? The wireless wizard's name was Kenny Everett. Today's do-gooders sent mungos at mungos.org. Guess what? That's enough for this edition of the crazy Shorter Than Short podcast show from me, Mike Kelly.
And me, Joyce.
Thank you for listening. Please take care out there, and remember you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
This is the Mike Kelly podcast.
Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.